Hello, lovely humans. Happy Thanksgiving for those of you that actually celebrate it, and if you do, safe travels. Hope you're having a fantastic time with whomever you spend it with. Today, I wanted to talk about my experience at the Model and Talent Expo down in Dallas. I recently got the chance to go with my mother agent. Her name is Essie Ward. She's out here in Little Rock, and she is hands down one of the most amazing people that I have ever met. If you follow me on Facebook or Instagram or anything like that, I think that I shared some of her designs that she had in the fashion show. So you should definitely go try to check those out, or you can probably find them on her page, I do believe. I wanted to give this special shout out to her just because she was totally awesome, and I am so grateful that I had the opportunity to go thanks to her. And I would not have had the chance to go if it had not have been for her and all of the work that she took and the time that she took to prepare me to go. I came in very green. I'm still green, and that just means that I had virtually no experience going into it. She worked with me. We got about as prepared as we could be given my current skill level, and then we went from there. So first things first, whenever you get there, this was my number. I was very excited to have that, as you can imagine, and we get the official booklet. Now, in the back, it lists like all of the models and talent and the different categories you can find them in. Now, I was considered within the female commercial print, and yes, I know this seems like I'm bragging, and I probably am a little bit, but look, there's my picture. I was so excited. I was so happy to be a part of this because, you know, it's a learning experience. Yes, it may seem a little pricey. I know that some people have always been wondering, okay, is this a scam? Or some people have outright said, hey, it's a scam. For those people, no, it's not a scam. And if you say it's a scam, it's probably because you didn't put in the time and the work and then got mad because you didn't get a call back. And I'll get into that later on. So once you sign in and stuff, you're given your schedule, and then it kickstarts your week. It is very hectic. It is very intense. Most of the people that come there go there multiple times. Some of it's just because they love it, and I definitely plan on going back in June. A lot of it is because you kind of have to go more than once because it is such a learning experience. The Model and Talent Expo tells you, hey, yes, you worked on this, but this is stuff you need to learn, and this is how you can improve. So you start from the very bottom before you get to the expo, and then your expo is actually your starting point, if that makes any sense. So I got to meet some amazing talent, and shoot, I probably should have scripted this, to be honest. Right now I'm just kind of talking about it while it's still relatively fresh in my mind. I went last week, and I just got back home Sunday evening. So it's been about a week, but it's a 5-day event, and from the time it starts, ours started Wednesday at 3 o'clock. Everything kind of kick-started from there, and then it was, thankfully there's the schedule in here to where I can kind of try to get you guys step by step. Hold on. Crud. Here it is. Okay, in the very back. So you have the grand opening, you have the introductions and the orientation, you have your overview, you get to present yourself on stage for the first time, introduce yourself, your name, your number, walk all the way down the runway and come back. That is going to be probably the most terrifying thing if you've never experienced it. Like, the entire time I was self-conscious about how am I going to walk? Like, and this was something my agent had to prepare me for. So whenever I get nervous or whenever I get really excited, I have that little bounce in my step. Part of that is just due to my normal energy about it, and then another part of it is I did have ankle surgery twice on my right ankle, and it never fully healed properly, and there was a lot of scar tissue and complications. So I always walk with a limp whenever I actually walk correctly, and I was very self-conscious of this. So we had to train, gosh, she probably worked with me 10 hours just on my walk alone. Because whenever I'm regularly walking, I don't think about it. But the instant you tell me to walk, it's like, ah! And you can't do that on a set. If I had a job where I had to walk into a room, you overthink it, and then it's like, you know? But you all have your assigned seats. You go up by rows, numbers, all of that. I believe that we had to say our names, our agencies, and our numbers at first. Wednesday was kind of a blur. I'm not gonna lie. And then we just kind of did it, and then boom, we were suddenly having to get ready for, I really should keep this open to where I can say it step by step. With me looking down, I'm gonna kind of go in with it. Hold on. Okay, so yeah, after you got with that, the meet and greet was considered our formal party, and that is essentially where we were just like, oh, hey, hi, meet people, try to get Instagrams, try to connect, try to dance, have a good time, just kind of be a little bit casual at first. Everyone's stepping into it. I think we're all kind of nervous, especially if it's our first time there. I know that I am by nature very socially awkward to the point of embarrassment, and I think a lot of people are like that. Like, I met this super, super sweet guy. His name is Connor, and he's super amazing. I'm really proud of him. I got to see him win an award on stage and whatnot after everything was over. But that very first night, he was probably the only person I met that was even remotely as socially awkward as I was. Of course, by the end of it, he kind of broke out of that, and I'm very proud of him for that. But that's kind of how it goes whenever you go to the expo. Like, everyone, whenever you're not used to that kind of mingling, it's very tough to find yourself within it, and you just kind of have to navigate it and hope for yourself. Now, the way that my agent handled things was she prepared us as best as she could, and then it was like, okay, go fly, be free. It was also her birthday weekend, so I totally respected her for that, and the fact that she had to do so much behind the scenes to keep preparing us for every other event. Like, we had comp cards, we had, well, for the models they did. She was finishing up the fashion show that she was in because she did design clothes in it, and she was doing so many things to try to get us prepared for all of the other events that she was just kind of like, hey, you know, as my job as an agent, I have to do so many things to continue to get you guys ready, because it was something I couldn't do completely up front before we left because there's so much that goes into it. So I'm just gonna kind of push you out of the nest, see how you do. And that's again why this event is the starting point to see where you're at, because, and I don't know if every agent was like that, I just know that that's the approach that ours took, and I'm very grateful to her for that, because she put in so much work to try to get us prepared, but you were never adequately prepared. And so you just kind of have to do it. Like, there's nothing that you can ever do or say to fully get you ready and prepared for this. And it is an amazing opportunity. But going into it, so Saturday, I met the most amazing person ever. I do believe that he has changed my life. I had such a great conversation with him. His name's Aaron Marcus. He's done a lot of guest spots, and he's done a lot of stuff. Like, he and I specifically had a conversation about him working with Ellen Burstyn on House of Cards, and just so many things that he said and the way that he presented in his seminar made so much sense. Like, that was the first time where I was really like, okay, someone's breaking down every little bit here, and he's done so much. Like, his resume is so impressive, yet he's not famous, so to speak. And this was a conversation he and I had privately, because one of my biggest concerns is I would love to be in this industry. I want to act just to act, period. I don't want to be an A-lister, at least not at this time in my life. And frankly, I would be terrified if I ever got a lead role in something. But he's one of those people where he's like, you don't have to be famous in this business. You don't have to be in the spotlight unless that's just what you want. Some people love the spotlight. Not everyone likes it for all the right reasons, of course. But then there are a lot of people where you can still be very successful in this business and not technically be famous. Like, he talked about hand modeling and things like that. The things where it's like, hey, this is a job that you can do. And a lot of the times whenever you see commercial print now, it's actors that are getting the parts. Shoot. I can't remember the commercial, but it's got Elle Fanning. You know, that girl that was Aurora in Maleficent. She's Dakota Fanning's sister. I know that she's got far more credits under her belt than that. That's just the first role that comes to mind. But she's been in commercials recently. She's an actress. Now, I don't know if she's got a background in modeling or anything like that, but that's where commercial print and stuff is headed. And that's why a lot of people are pushing, and what the seminar taught me is you can do both, and really you need to be both. You need to be able to completely diversify yourself, if at all possible, in this industry, and adapt to it, because, you know, there's always going to be something new, something fresh. And anyways, but that's just a lot of what I was taught there. I actually did buy his book, which I don't actually have in front of me right now, unfortunately. I got so interested in reading it that I actually left it at work. I'm so sorry. But as soon as I go back to work Monday, I will link that in the video below. I'll also be linking his stuff here on YouTube, because he does have a YouTube channel and he's totally awesome. He gives great tips. And I do want to give that special shout out to him, because I've learned so much, and I need to credit the people that I've learned from. But yes, okay, so yeah, and then going on, we had kind of the crazy hectic what I participated in was the singer-songwriter pre-screening auditions. So I like singing in Japanese, and I'm not one that actually takes being a vocalist as seriously as I probably should. Not even gonna lie, like, I had my stint in choir, and that's the most that I've had with any sort of vocal training, and that was back in junior high and middle school, so I can't really say any of it's current at this point. But that was a very big eye-opener. I heard so many amazing singers that I was just like, oh my gosh. But of course, with the showcase, you can only pick so many people. And the only thing that I kept saying to my agent was, I actually hope that I don't win, because A, I sang a cappella, and B, it's not my main thing. Like, the only reason that I had wanted to do it in the first place was to show that I actually could sing and didn't sound like a dying whale. But there were so many people that were so deserving of it, and I know that a couple people actually did make it. I know that there were several people that were just really good. Like this girl that's actually with us, she didn't win, or she didn't get in the showcase. Her name's Amber. She is hands down one of the best singers I have heard. Like, her song that she did with Jay was great. I'm actually kind of disappointed it didn't make it in the showcase, but then the ones that did, whenever I heard who made it, it's like, oh wow, these people are also performers. And that's what they look at in this industry. You have to look at, you know, every little part that goes into it. Talent alone's not going to cut it. What is going to cut it is, do you have the stage presence? Do you have the confidence? Do you have the talent? Can you sing the notes? Can you stay on pitch? All of the stuff that goes into it, just within the singing portion. And I'm pretty sure it was like that in the dance portion, but I have zero rhythm. I can do a box step and a waltz tempo, and that's the most I can claim. Unfortunately, it's very sad. But congratulations to all the people that did make the showcase there. I don't know if any of them would be interested in watching this video or anything like that, and unfortunately I cannot remember everyone that was in it. I know that there weren't too many people, but the ones that were really good. I don't even remember numbers, I'm so sorry. But then we went with a lot of different things. So after that was the Lance Camarillo acting workshop for TV and film. I did unfortunately miss that because right after, the way that Thursday's schedule ran was Aaron Marcus, he had a seminar from 8:30 to 9:30, and then from 9 to 10:30 were the singer-songwriter auditions. After getting out of his seminar, the line was so long that by the time that I actually got back there, it was like 10:15. And at that point, I'm just like, I wouldn't be able to absorb the 15 minutes being in Lance's thing. And I know that there was another girl in my group that took notes that I should eventually get copies of. So, but I'm sure that that seminar was amazing. And that just kind of tells you how Thursday is kind of like the big overlapping thing. But then there was a mandatory seminar right after his that was basically talking about the answers that all of the people trying to make it in this industry or to break into the industry and the parents needed to know. I did catch quite a bit of that. I didn't stay for the whole thing. I know it's a mandatory seminar, but food was important. Sorry, I know that sounds terrible. That really does. But I'm saying the experience in full 100% disclosure with you guys. I'm not going to leave anything out. It's probably going to sound scattered. It probably already does sound scattered. But it'll get to the end point of everything that's there. And this is just where you guys can see everything that you could potentially learn if you put in the time to learn it. So, yeah, after that seminar and food, we had the monologue auditions, which I actually posted my monologue here on YouTube if you'd like to check it out. I was not able to afford getting the very good, high quality one that the people at the Expo did. Like, I won't say that the prices were terrible. Like, for everything that the package included, like if you wound up getting the video and photography package, like you would have had so many shots that could have gone in a press kit or something like that, but I didn't have the money. And so I just had one of the parents record my monologue for me to where I had something to post, because that was the one thing that I was super proud of. My monologue was actually taken from Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 6 from Dark Willow, and then I kind of changed it a little to kind of be slightly more kid-friendly and slightly more my style, because I wanted to create a character that was based off of Dark Willow but not totally be her. And that's partially something that my agent and I came to the decision to, because she's just like, I love how you read this, but what if you took it and then made it your own? So that is my baby. That is something I am so proud that I got to perform in front of everybody, and I'm just so glad that I did not trip on stage or make a total fool of myself. I did kind of have overkill because I dressed completely in character, and I think that that's part of what threw a lot of people off, but I got a ton of compliments on my outfit. I wore a corset, and then I actually wore skirt, leggings, boots, a little choker thing, and I'm really proud of that corset. It was $5 on eBay. I'm sorry, I have to brag, $5 corsets. It's something to talk about, okay? But yeah, so the monologue was amazing. It was one of my most favorite memories from the entire thing. Like, that was something where I actually felt proud of myself for once, and where it's like, oh my gosh, like, I did that. I actually went out there and I did it. Not many people can say that. I will say that I didn't really hear anyone forget their lines. Like, there were a couple people where you could tell they started to get a little bit nervous and forget, but for the most part, everyone finished it all the way through. I don't think that there was maybe but one person that, like, ran off of stage. But that just shows you how tough it is. Like, you had to go on stage. We were actually towards the front looking at the, like, okay, so you're probably, this is the panel of judges. It goes like this and then goes all around stage, and then you're like way back here with a microphone, and then you just kind of have to project everything out. And you have all of those bright lights on you to where you can't really see anyone in the crowd, but you know that they're there. It's an experience, guys. Like, I cannot describe it. All I know is I felt so good being on that stage, performing that. And that was the time I was the most comfortable, like, thinking, I could actually do this. But, again, that might sound like I'm bragging a bit. I'm sorry. Moving on. So after that, we had, like, our fashion show callbacks, which I wasn't a part of. The main reason that I chose to not do it was I am 23 years old and I am 5'1.5". I say 5'2" on my cards because with shoes I barely make the cut. And most people that were in the fashion show were like fashion runway, or the people that were in the fashion category that really wanted to be in that. I'm not knocking it at all. And in June, I may change my mind and want to try to go for it, just where it's another experience that I can have, because I think that that could actually work really well and help prepare you more for commercial print, which thankfully commercial print exists because anyone can do it, literally anybody, and I'm very, very thankful for that. But I don't know, it just kind of scared me. Like, it was really terrifying to me because I was just like, I don't know. But congratulations to everyone that made that. They were really, the fashion show was really cool from what I saw. But moving on, like, after the monologue auditions, we had to get ready for another party. It was like retro 70s, 80s party night. So, you know, everyone tried to dress in costume. There was lots of those high ponytails and the neon, and there was a lot of Michael Jackson playing there. It wasn't, I don't know, it was fun. It was really fun. It wasn't necessarily my type of party, but I was still really glad that I was able to be a part of that and mingle a little bit more with all of the contestants, because I think, like, the more that all of us were doing it, the more comfortable we all got, and the more we were able to talk to people that normally we wouldn't have talked to. But that was the second night. So on to Friday, you go into another crazy round. So you had another set of singer-songwriter auditions. So those were the people that had made the cut to go into from the 1 minute to the 2 minute, which again, I didn't make it. Sorry, my cat's on the counter. Hey, Poseidon, honey, get down. Poseidon, thank you. Sorry. Yeah, if you hear any background noise, it's because I have 2 Siamese cats that are hands down insane. And one of them's a little diva since he became semi-famous on TikTok. Go figure, the cats get famous. Anyhow, going on to Friday. So, the singer-songwriter auditions part 2. That's, I think that was the one that determined who actually made the showcase, if I'm not mistaken, but I didn't pay too much attention to that after the fact because it was like, oh, I didn't make it to the next round. I can just, like, happily forget that I ever did it. Or not happily forget that I ever did it. I'm really glad that I got to, because I do enjoy singing just as something fun to do, not really so much as something where it's like, oh, I would have been devastated, because, I mean, the likelihood of me making it, if I had made it, I actually would have been really disappointed and upset, because it's like, darn, someone else had a better chance, and I didn't prepare another song, because I didn't think I would get this far. So I think that the judges made a really good call on that one. But we also had our two-person scene auditions. So I probably should have gone with a different one. I had multiple ones prepared. Initially, the one that my agent was really wanting me to do was this one that I had basically adapted from a monologue. So I had done the monologue initially in Japanese, like I had created it in Japanese. And it was about one of my best friends that I was really close to, that I really cared about, that recently committed suicide. Oh, I really hope that YouTube doesn't demonetize that for me saying that. But I'm not famous enough on YouTube for them to demonetize anything yet, so I'm not sure it matters. Anyhow, YouTube changed their rules recently, so I don't know what I can and can't say. I apologize. But anyhow, I had translated that back to English and then just had it as a monologue. And then my agent was like, okay, well, why don't you take that a step further and do it into a two-person scene? Because what I had wound up doing was, my best friend and I had at one point been engaged, and we stayed friends. He was gay, okay? 100% gay. I knew it from the get-go. He knew it all of his life, but he was a little trust fund baby, and, he didn't want to risk losing it because, the traditional sense. Yes, some parents are still not okay with their kids being gay. It was a big thing, but we had actually been engaged, and I put the two-person scene based off of some of what I had said to him whenever I gave the ring back, and was just like, okay, look, we really can't go through this. If we truly, truly love each other, we can't do this to each other, because we did love each other. Hands down, there was no question about that. But we weren't in love, if that made sense. So I had done the two-person scene, and it was very emotional because it was something that was very close to my heart. And my agent was like, well, why don't you do that one? And it's like, but it lost the meaning. And it felt like it was too raw, and it was also something that was like far too much like a lot of what I'd seen people do in their monologues, where it was all about love, and I just wasn't really feeling it. So I had adapted another scene. The one that I performed was one that I had taken from a TV show that I like, which is called Queer as Folk, from season 5, and it was either episode 6 or 8. It was whenever Brian and Ted were talking, and he went into the spill about basically how he was blaming the fact that he couldn't have a relationship based on the example that he grew up with his parents, where he kind of had to become like this cold-hearted jerk. Anyone who's seen the show knows Brian Kenny. Hands down, Gail Harold did amazing in that role. So good. It's a great show. But it was one of those where it was kind of, I chose that because it fit some of my experiences as well, with my lack of being able to really form good bonds, and I felt far more comfortable doing that. But I think the whole reason why I did it was I was playing it safe. I played it very safe, and I was still just happy that I took that and then made it kind of my own in a way. Like, I basically flipped the script, made it to where it's like, okay, more in a general sense of female in power in office, because that's just not something you see played out too much. I mean, I know that we have the great roles like Meryl Streep in Devil Wears Prada, and Blake Lively in A Simple Favor could be considered like powerful boss women, but that's just not something you typically see as much, and so I thought that that might go over a little bit well, or a little bit better. I don't know how I scored on that. I never got scores back. That's not stuff that's presented to us. I know that our agents can look into it and kind of see and receive the feedback and stuff, and I do believe that mine's doing that, just to kind of see, since almost all of us went in there totally green. And so I think that she wanted to get the feedback to where we could figure out what to improve on. and go from there. And then after that was over, we had a seminar with Charlie Winfield. He's a character. He actually was the person that was in my two-person scene that read off the sheet with me. Not sure if he remembers that. He maybe does, maybe he doesn't. He was an interesting guy to meet, though. I don't think that I gave him the grandest impression of myself, and I did kind of get a little bit unnerved whenever, like, he was really big on, you know, don't shake your hands like lump noodles. Well, I've always been taught the very firm, crazy handshake, like, from my dad, and I've tried learning to tone that down to people. But whenever I did to him, I didn't think about it because he said, don't do the loose handshake. So I do my regular firm handshake, and then he squeezes my hand so hard, and I'm just like, oh no, I clearly, like, angered him. No. It was an interesting exchange, and I'm probably overthinking it, but that one was a good experience and totally random in and of itself. His seminar was great. I did get to learn quite a bit, and the main thing that he taught us, which is something that should have already been known, was the way to smile correctly is, if it's not uncomfortable, you're not doing the perfect smile right. Now, do I think it looks natural on me, or that it's my best perfect smile? Not necessarily. But he's also an industry professional, and I'm not, so I have no room to say that he's wrong. I just don't. But that is something that I've heard from multiple people, especially if you do any sort of modeling, is if you're not in pain or slightly uncomfortable, you're not doing it right. Apparently the key is to look natural on camera is to be very unnatural with your body. Now, I'm sure a lot of people can comment on this, and it can be a debate. If you think that I'm wrong, please feel free to call me out on it. Please tell me. I don't mind totally weighing in on different opinions here and going from there. But anyhow, moving on, we then had, like, Friday was just kind of Friday was the day where, because after my two-person scene, I didn't really have too much to do. I am actually kind of sad that I chose to take that as, like, my day to shop and see my friends. After that was done, I missed the Jan Strimple Runway seminar, and then the seminar with Daniel Jackson, James Charles, and Adam Woodlard. Sorry. And for those of you who are wondering, no, it's not James Charles, the makeup artist. It's one that's an industry professional, but I forget. I want to say he was one of the agents there, but I couldn't really tell you. Hey, Rookie. Sorry. The semi-famous cat has decided he wants to come say hello. Sort of. Anyhow, like, Friday was kind of like a crazy day. There were troop performances, headshot and comp card competitions. The scout introductions I did go for, and stay for. That's basically where all of the agents that were there looking for specific talent and to try to help find people to sign or to give people callbacks. You got to meet them, and they said a little bit about themselves. The only thing that I had a problem with that is you had to sit in your assigned seats during that event, and I couldn't hear most of them. I felt so bad, but I was just wishing the entire time that they would speak up and stand a little taller, because none of us could see anything. With my number being 739, I was on the very back of, like, the left side of the stage. And so I was like, darn, I'm missing most of this. I really hope that I get the list later from my agent where I can read and figure out who these people are. But yeah. And then there was, like, the swimwear and sportswear auditions. I probably should have participated in that. I think I was the only one out of, like, the people that went with my agent, because she represented, like, multiples of us. I was the only one that didn't do it. A lot of that just comes from the fact I am very uncomfortable with my body. and I was just like, I don't know if I want to participate in this. You could do swimwear or sportswear, and sportswear, a lot of sportswear these days look really nice and pretty, but at the same time, again, I couldn't do the runway walk. I was terrified. I was like, I don't know if this is for me. I don't really want to do that at this time. Do I regret not doing it? A little bit. I think that's probably what kind of made the rest of the week kind of go the way that it did, was I didn't really put myself out there as much as I should have, and I didn't use every opportunity that I could have, and that's totally on me. That's not my agent's fault. That's not anyone else's fault, and that's something that I learned I need to work on. Because, you know, what if I land that role that's gonna be like, oh, Susie, or whatever. We'll say Susie, for example. Susie's in high school. She's supporting role on the cheerleading squad, and she had this, you know, she posts photos and does whatever, or, you know, is a model in her spare time, whatever. You know, I wouldn't be able to be that role, even if I looked the part, because I wouldn't know how to do it. Now, could I learn? Of course. But I think that I killed my own chances, and I stunted my own growth because I didn't get as much out of this as I should have and could have, just based on that. And I'll go into that probably again at the end of the video. I know I'm repeating myself a lot on a lot of this stuff, guys, but there was just so much going on, and I'm doing it piece by piece by piece. But going on to Saturday, we had our Coldread audition preparations, and then we did our Coldread thing. So Coldread is basically where they give you a sheet of paper with 1 to 2 lines on it, or a few lines, for a commercial, and you have to go out and perform it. You don't have to be off book with it, because you don't get it until you get in the line to go on stage. So you have 5 minutes tops to learn what's on that sheet of paper. The only thing that bothered me about mine, I got pizza. I got freaking pizza, and I had to sit there and read off the sheet of paper about pizza, because I'm like, I love pizza. It's arguably one of my favorite foods. And I had to read a sheet of paper to say what was on a freaking pizza. That's how nervous I was, and that's how uncomfortable I was with it. So that showed me that I need to work on more cold read and commercial things with my agent to better prepare me for doing things like that. Because at the end of the day, I overthought it. I really overthought it. But I'm still so proud that I managed to go through it, and I didn't stutter. I didn't stutter, guys. Like, I was so happy that I could just make it through. The only thing I was mad about was I'm like, I should know what's on a pizza. But again, that experience was really fun. You were again on stage in front of everybody with those super bright lights on your face, and like, yeah. I think I was also the first one that did it too, so that helped. And it kind of set the groundwork for other people that did it. I'm not, it is how it is. But, you know, then we had a little bit of free time, because all of the agents and the scouts were at their own luncheon thing, which we weren't a part of, and that's totally fine. It just meant that we could kind of do whatever and get prepared for everything else going on. So then we had our one-on-one session. Well, first we had the Runway auditions, which again, I wasn't part of. Runway, I couldn't get into if I wanted to, because I am too short. So there was no reason to prepare for Runway auditions, because no one wants a 5'2" model. Now, maybe in Japan, where I would love to go someday, I could do like Lolita or cosplay, which I love doing, by the way. Hands down, love it. I love gothic Lolita. I actually have dressed up like that so many times, and I love the reactions that I get from people on the street. Like, it doesn't bother me anymore. It bothered me a little bit at first, but I mean, a lot of people come up to me, like little kids, and be like, hey, you're a princess! greatest feeling in the world. Or even dressing up in cosplay and going to like Children's Hospital dressed as a Disney princess, and it's like, oh, so many kids are so happy. You know, little things like that. But Runway, I think women have to be at least 5'7". So I missed the mark by like a lot. And that's totally fine. But congrats to everyone that did make the Runway thing. I know that I didn't pay any attention to it, but I still want to congratulate everyone that did it because there were a lot of people, and that is something that's really tough. Basically everything that you do in this expo is a test of your skills. And the ones that make it, they put in a lot of work. And that's not saying that even if you didn't win, that you didn't put in a lot of work too. Just meant that maybe you need to fine-tune and tweak things. But after that was the most important part of this entire event and why you were there in the first place. We had our one-on-one things with the agents that were there. Which, that means you got, your agent went to you beforehand and said whether or not you got a call back from somebody. And I did get one from Actors Choice. They're out of Louisiana. I'm very, very, very grateful and happy that they were willing to take a shot on me. They do a lot of castings, and I'll get into that in a minute. But the one-on-ones is where you can meet with other agencies and try to get that white card call back because they didn't initially give you a call back. Most of what I got from everyone there was, a lot of the feedback that I got was they didn't really like my headshot because my headshot, which I don't have a copy of in front of me, unfortunately, I looked a lot older in it. Like, I actually looked my age 23 in it. The way that I marketed myself down there and the way that I kind of went in front of agents was I had just the bare minimum makeup on. And whenever I don't do my eye makeup especially, I look like I'm a kid. Like, so many people there were just like, no, you can't be older than 15, maybe 16. You're a kid, right? And I'm like, no, I'm an adult. Everyone at the liquor store says that whenever they look at my ID too. It's very sad. Very sad life. But that was the main thing that I got with that feedback was, hey, you know, your headshot and the way that you present yourself in front of us don't quite match. And that just means, okay, I need to work on that or work on taking a few different headshots. I also got, oh, you're very girl next door. It's very pretty, it's very fun looking, but it's more for the supporting cast. I'm totally fine with that. That is not a bad thing by any means because, again, a supporting role is still a hell of a role to get, okay? Like, supporting cast is way better than just being an extra, and it's close enough to the top where it's like, you can still make a lot of money and you can still do really well in the industry. And then I'm not sure if with a supporting cast you'd be considered a B-list actor or not, but you'd have a little bit more recognition. And again, that would be great, but it's just the type. I think that a lot of people did like the fact that looking at me face to face, they were just like, okay, so you look like you could play younger. You look a lot younger than your headshots. So, you know, you could be cast for those teenager roles. Now, that being said, being cast for a teenager role doesn't bother me in the slightest. From what I've done research on in the industry and from what I've heard from multiple people is they actually want the people that look more fresh-faced that can play the teenagers, and those are usually going to get the parts over teenagers because of the labor laws and things like that. You can't work a 15-year-old on set for 18 hours in a day, but you can work a 23-year-old that looks like they're 15, 16. So yeah, youth, good thing in this industry. But a lot of the people like I said, they said that they would keep my headshot and resume to the side, and if they had anything that they could send me to, then they would contact my agent and let her know. But a lot of them were just like, you're so green, and we need to see how you do we need to see you do a screen test. We need to see how you audition before we could ever represent you. And that's just very common in the industry, okay? Like, and that's not that disappointing to me. It hurt a little bit to hear, but it's not something that I wasn't already aware of, because the one thing that the Model and Talent Expo doesn't do is it doesn't have you audition for anything. And the only credit that I have under my belt that I can say that I've done is I entered the 48-hour film festival this year with an agent that I'm no longer with, and that's it. That's the only thing I have under my belt. I don't have any student films. I don't have any things that I've done with friends. I'm not in any of the local groups. I'm not in any local theater, and unfortunately, cosplay does not count. Cosplay might count with certain people in certain things, but unless you're actually cosplaying on a screen and doing skits and things, it doesn't really count. And that's okay. But that is what I had under my belt. I'm hoping that I can get more. I'm hoping I can improve my skills and eventually start going on auditions and maybe booking jobs. I'd love to be able to do that. And then the other feedback that I got was to kind of ditch my blonde hair. So my roots are going back pretty bad. I'm not a natural blonde. I was as a kid, and I really like the blonde. I think that it brightens my face, but a lot of people say it washes me out a little bit too much, which again, I kind of knew that. A lot of that's more of a personal choice, just because, again, I like the Japanese aesthetic with like the super pale skin, and I'd actually been wanting to do my hair like this because I'd wanted to start doing Elsa. I know, sad. I jumped on that bandwagon, I know, awful, but I like the movies. Judge me, don't judge me. It is how it is. But, you know, a lot of them prefer natural hair, so my eyebrows are actually a little bit darker because I had darkened them to kind of match my hair, and my hair wasn't quite this yellow toned either. But blonde is very hard to maintain, and it does cause a lot of damage, even if done correctly at a salon. Like, my stylist is hands down the most amazing person. So, back in May, I was blue-black. No joke. Like, I was dark. And then I was like, hey, I want to go platinum blonde. Out of the blue. And my stylist is just like, what? So we cut off, like, my hair used to be down to my back. We cut off that to shoulder length, and then slowly started dyeing it, and we finally got it to this color. I would have loved to maintain it, but again, it's expensive, and if it's not what people want, it's better to just change it back. So probably in my next video, you will no longer see me as a blonde, and hopefully that gets slightly better responses and things like that. We're not really sure, but the only people that actually like the blonde look, a lot of agents don't like it if it's not your natural color, is because you are pigeonholing yourself into certain roles. And the only ones that really liked it were out in LA, and they were just like, unless you're willing to uproot your entire life and move to LA before we sign you, you know, that there's really no need for the blonde hair. And while, yes, I would like to move and be able to be, like, more in a city where I can get more jobs and stuff, I don't really want to move to California. No offense to the state, I have nothing against it. I can't even drive in Dallas traffic. Traffic scares me. So I can't imagine moving to a bigger city like that. Like, I'm very small town, born and raised actually in Benton, Arkansas, which is a little bit outside of Little Rock. I just say Little Rock is my hometown because it's like close enough, may as well. We're a very small town, okay? I wasn't even in my first roundabout until I got to Conway, which is a little bit outside of Little Rock. The biggest city where I've ever lived is up in Bentonville for a brief time. and very small town. Now, I like being in bigger cities. I love visiting them, and I think that I could adjust to living in one, but driving terrifies me. So I'd really have to learn and practice, and anyhow, this is why LA's not someplace where I particularly want to move to right now. I just realized this video is getting really long, so I'm gonna start wrapping it up for y'all. So yeah, after the one-on-ones, we had our callbacks. Now, like I said, I only had the one, and I'm so grateful for them. If I didn't say it before, it was Actors' Choice. They're out in Louisiana. They do castings, from what I saw, everywhere from like Oklahoma on down to Florida. Like, they have all that part, and then they've got some up in New York. And they said that they would probably keep me local at first, local-ish, and then allow me to kind of branch out. Eventually, I'd like to go to Atlanta and do stuff there, because that is becoming the new Hollywood. But I know that I have a long way to go before I get there, and I really need to prove myself first. But yeah, so after everything happened Saturday, we move into the final day where there's only a couple things, and that's the award ceremony. So, you know, you guys know what the award ceremony is. They call you up by category. If you won anything, you go up. And that's how that goes. And then you go home. Now, I loved it. The award ceremony was great. We didn't really win anything, and I'm okay with that. I mean, I got a participation trophy, which I didn't even think I would get for that. Or it's really a participation medal. I think I've got the picture on my Instagram. I'm happy to just have that, and it's another way of having the memento and the reminder of, I did this. A lot of people can't. Some of it boils down to being able to afford it. Some of it boils down to some people just don't have the nerve or don't want to put in the work to go. But success doesn't happen overnight. And Mike Beatty, the guy that runs it, he's amazing. He actually shared his life story with a lot of us and how hard it was for him. And he was just like, you know, give yourself a round of applause just for being here in the first place, you know. You've learned a lot here, hopefully, because there was a wealth of knowledge, like, to be had from it. And he's just like, you know, even if you didn't win, you're all winners. You all went out here, you did it, you made it this far. And the Model and Talent Expo was to determine whether or not you could really handle this business. There's a lot of rejection in the business. I got told one yes and a lot of no's. And that's not anything bad. Like, I'm so grateful for everyone that I met there. I'm grateful for all the feedback, and I don't want to sound like, oh, poor pitiful me. Because that's not it. Now, am I disappointed in myself that I didn't get more done? Or have more positive feedback? A little. I mean, everyone would, but I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm going to take it with a little bit with a grain of salt, and a lot of it going, okay, this is what I've received from more than one person who's been in this industry a while. So I need to really focus on that, really focus on everything that I've learned that I need to fine tune, work my butt off, go back in June, and figure out how to impress everybody, and continue on in this business because I love it. And that is what the Expo is for. It's determining, do you really want to be in this industry? Can you handle this industry? Figure out what you love. I love it. I love it so much. I'm so grateful that I got to go. And I learned, God, I could probably make a 2 or 3 hour video just on everything that I've learned. Like, this is just the overview of everything. Mainly because this is already almost an hour long. And I don't feel like I covered half of what went into it. But I tried. But guys, if you get a chance to go with an agency and you really want to do it, do it. This is not a scam. This is the best and biggest learning experience in your life. And it is, honestly, it's an investment in yourself. And there's no way to adequately describe it unless you're there. But I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna work hard. I'm going to continue to document this journey for you all out there and myself. And I want to thank everyone for this opportunity. Like, I have to give a special shout out to my boss and where I work at. Not only did he help sponsor me to go, but he allowed me to take time off work to go. How many people have that flexibility? How many people have a company that they work for that will turn around and say, oh, okay, yes, you can take a week off work to go to this. Most of them will say no. Whether you have PTO or not, which I used PTO for it. But this close to the holiday season, most would have said no. So I have to be so grateful. And then everyone that I work with that's within my immediate team gave me support. Like, they wished me the best of luck. They were there. I had some amazing friends and family and just people in my life that believed in me enough to help me get there. And that told me no matter what happens, they were proud of me for living my dream. This is my dream. This is amazing. And this would not have happened without my agent, my work, and the people in my life that are in my corner. And all I can say, guys, is if you really want to go for it, even if the odds are stacked against you, you want to make it and you want to go, find the way to go. Because this knowledge and everything that you get out of this is so valuable. It's hands down. Okay. This is only second to Japan for me. I went to Japan in 2015. I worked my butt off to get there. I did it without parental help. I raised that money on my own. My parents didn't really help me with this part of going to the Expo. This is the second greatest experience from Japan, and that's just because really I had a lifelong dream to travel to Japan. But this is on the same level. This is a career, guys. Like, don't give up on your dreams. Don't let anyone tell you that what you want or what you like is a pipe dream. You want to be an actress, a model, an actor, a singer, just want to do commercial print, just want to dance, want to do any of that, find a way to go to this. You will not regret it. And even if you don't get a call back, even if you don't get, people looking at you right away, you're going to get so much knowledge. You're going to learn more about the business. You're going to learn how to market yourself or how to start marketing yourself to where you can become who you are. And your success is determined at the end of the day by you. You can say, you made it. You can say, oh, I failed. You can't blame anyone else but yourself. But the fact that you're there at all, you did that, and you should be so proud. So with that being said, that was my experience. It has been so amazing. It has been a pleasure getting to talk with you guys about it. And I hope that if you enjoyed this, or if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments below and do all that, because seriously, guys, I will probably be posting more videos like this, not necessarily about the Expo, but I'm gonna start revamping my channel to have more acting and things like that on it, and you'll get to help see my journey, because I think it's important, and I don't really see too many people documenting their start to when they start really getting it. And yeah, with that being said, have a happy Thanksgiving, you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!